Hey everybody, it's Reed, and we're continuing our series on Construction Accounting 101. Today I've got one of our experts, Sarah Tracy, here with us. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, Sarah, today I think we're going to talk about compliance. So can you kind of give me a background on what compliance is and how we use compliance in construction accounting?
Yeah, so compliance for construction, it's all about alleviating risk. You want to make sure that anyone that's on site working on a job has all of their insurance up to date. You want to make sure for lien waivers that you're getting them on time. And you want to make sure for your contractors, their licenses are up to date. There's a lot of different avenues that you can go with compliance. They have the ability through Intact to it's miscellaneous. So you can set up a compliance for whatever it is that you need to track, but your main ones are going to be your lien waivers and your insurance, and then your bonds, licenses, things like that. You want to make sure that all that stuff is up to date. And then the system is it's going to alert you through accounts payable if anybody is out of compliance, because if you're not paying them, they're not coming to work, and you don't want them on site if they're out of compliance. Yeah. So that's what it's all about, alleviating risk, basically. That's what you got to do.
Awesome. Yeah, we run across that a lot of, there's so many scenarios that we run across. It's probably the number one question that's asked, in the sales process when folks are looking at Sage Intacct Construction is, how does it handle compliance? And can it handle compliance? Because obviously we want to make sure that, everybody on the job site is compliant, especially, if you're working certified jobs and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, not really any job, but so Sarah, why don't you maybe jump right in? We've got Sage Intacct open here. Sage Intacct is a cloud native solution for construction accounting. Maybe why don't you take us through a couple of scenarios and how compliance is used?
Yeah, perfect. So within Intact, compliance is driven by the purchasing module. So that's where you're going to set it up, and that's where you're going to find all the records. And in the setup section, you have the option to set up definitions and types for compliance. So your definition is going to be based off one of your three categories of insurance, lien waivers, or miscellaneous. So you can set up a compliance definition for insurance, and then you can have multiple compliance types associated with that definition. So insurance-wise, you're going to be tracking your workers' comp, your general liability, your umbrella, your excess, auto, things like that. So all of those types are going to be associated with your one definition. And in the case of insurance, for this definition, you can base it off of, if I just click into it here and I'll show you, you can base it off of vendor types. So you can say you can do something really simple, like just for my subcontractors and my suppliers, I want to track insurance. Or you can get really into the nitty gritty, and you can say for all of my drywall, my plumbing, my electrical. I mean, I don't know how you're going to split that out, but there's the option to do that. And then for your insurance, it's always validated against your expiration date. So that's what's telling the system, if this is expired, we're either going to warn you in your AP payments, or we're going to give you an error in your AP payments. So a warning you can override, an error you have to go back and you have to have that before you pay that person. So that's the insurance. And then for your lien waivers, you can base it off of your AP bills or your AP payments. So once a bill is created, you can have a lien waiver automatically generated, or once you've made a payment, you can have that lien waiver generated. And then the next time you go to pay that vendor, if that lien waiver hasn't been received, it's not going to give you the option. It'll either error or it'll warn you. So for your lien waivers, then you can base it off of it's based off of your transaction definitions. So your purchase order or your subcontracts. So that's the option there. And then within your compliance types, this is where you'll set up For your lien waiver specifically, you put in your document template. So if I click into that, it gives you the option to set up your template. So see here for your compliance types, we have 5 different compliance types for my insurance definition. And then I have a conditional waiver associated with my AP bills, and I have an unconditional waiver associated with my AP payments. So there are some of the options with compliance within the system. And then obviously you have your miscellaneous category as well, which you can track your licenses and stuff like that.
So is it possible for me to, like, I think if you go back to the compliance types, like overview, the insurance, the those types of things, yeah. So can I add my own, types or my own definitions for compliance documents?
Yeah, absolutely. So within your compliance definition, you can have a miscellaneous category, and then you can set up a definition. This would be where you would put in your licenses, let's say,
Yeah.
or your OSHA, or like your SST cards, if you're tracking something like that. So you would put in your miscellaneous, and then you have the option to track either by vendor or by primary document. So your primary document is going to be your transaction definitions. So you might want to track something by vendor, or in the scenario where a vendor might have multiple jobs where you have to track per job, you'll go by primary document, and then you're going to put in your subcontract, for instance. That's going to be what you would do in that scenario if it's one vendor that's working on multiple projects where the compliance is going to vary by project.
Makes sense. Yeah. And then
does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. Well, and for the viewer out there, I mean, so if you have a project that requires certain compliance that maybe another project or your standard projects don't, then you have the ability to make sure that project's in compliance. So no, that actually makes perfect sense to me, Sarah. And I think it's great that you're able to distill it down for our viewers and things like that. The compliance module is being updated. It's being improved. There's more features that are being added to it throughout 2024 by Sage. That's certainly one of their focuses this year has been this module. But yeah, it's so far so good, and it works effectively for complying on the vendor or the project level. So, Sarah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely agree that Sage are constantly working on that. It's roadmapped for, I believe, the November release. And I'm hopeful that at that point, they're going to integrate it with smart rules and smart events, even triggers. And at that point, it's going to be really exciting, and it's going to automate everything, make everybody's life a lot easier. Instead of having to run reports to see when somebody's expiring, it's just going to give you that email and let you know you need to follow up with this contractor or whatever. So awesome. That's something to look forward to for sure.
So exciting things already in the compliance features, more compliance features to come down the road. Sarah, thanks for joining us so much. If you're new to our channel and this video was helpful in explaining how compliance works, and if you're a newbie, please give that thumbs up a click. And if you have any questions on compliance, let us know down in the comments. We'll be happy. If I can talk today, we will be happy to respond to you there and start a conversation. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.